Hello, everyone. Thank you for today attending today's session. I'm sorry that we're a little bit late, but we're just as enthusiastic to start our best practices webinar. I'm Sarah Davidson, part of the customer success team here at MobieTrain, and today I'm joined by Sven, our customer success lead, and also Joyce and Maria-Leen from Azadea. So Sven will be talking today about incentives, and Joyce and Maria-Leen will be sharing how Azadea does this in the group. Maybe Sven, I will go to the next slide and just for quick practicalities for all of you, to just have a quick look at the AirMeet, how it works. So to the left, to the right, you have your chat. It's a general chat box. And next to the chat, you have an icon for the Q&A. And there you can pose your questions during the session, but also we have a networking part at the end of the session where you can pose questions in person in smaller networking groups. To the top of the questions and chat, you have the people tab where you see who's in the session. You can also message other attendees. And of course, after the session, you will get the recording and PDF. And please help us to make these sessions even better and give us feedback on our survey. And without further ado, Sven, the floor is yours. Maybe just one more thing. After the session, we will go in the networking groups. So I will be privately messaging you which networking table you can attend during the session. So you will get a message from me. Okay, Sven, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to this webinar. So just quickly to go over the agenda of today's webinar. First, I will talk a little bit about why using incentives, discuss some important things to consider when organizing an incentive, give some practical examples, and then we will hand over the floor to our client Azadea. So to start off with, I think it's very important to understand that we see a shift in how we see training. Right, I think training in the beginning was a bit more a measure to protect companies from, as you can see there, from employees' mistakes to now really an investment in people's potential. It's about creating a learning culture to become. It becomes more and more important, and I think we see that really today also when people are looking for work, looking for a job, that they think it's very important to see if their training and development is very active in an organization. I think it's really a win for an organization, and this is really what people also are looking for. And it's a benefit for the employee and the company. I think we can really speak in this sense about a win-win situation. So that's really important. So when and why use incentives for training? Firstly, I think it's important that you look at, because there's a lot of training material out there, that of course, if you would like to run an incentive, that you look at a training that is both interesting for the employees as for the company, right? I think there needs to be a good combination. Why? Because this will increase the job performance. You can put an important training in the spotlight, and sometimes it's really for the business or compliance reasons, but also, of course, for the user itself. And it's just also an incentive, is an extra encouragement for the employee to invest also in themselves. So important considerations. What do you want to achieve with this incentive? I think this is one of the key things you first need to ask yourself before starting to organize an incentive. What is your goal? I think the same thing when we tell all of our clients with organizing trainings itself. Also, what is your goal? What would you like to achieve? Rewards, they need to be relevant for the target audience. And I think this is also something that you will need to research a bit, like what triggers your employees, what kind of rewards are motivating for your employees, because if they are not relevant, then the incentive itself is not going to work. Keep it quick and simple. in the sense that if you would like to run an incentive or a competition or something of that sort, if only the mechanics, how you organize the incentive, is 5 pages long, and you will need 5 days to explain to the people how the incentive works, then it's not going to work. And so I think keep it simple, keep the mechanics, the KPIs, how you measure it, keep it nice and simple. Make it, of course, achievable with anything that we do, with any goal that you have. When we talk about smart goals, of course, it needs to be achievable to motivate the people. The expected effort needs to be a bit in line with the reward as well. And creativity is more important than cost, right? And we will go a bit further into that, because sometimes the first reaction when we talk about incentives is, yeah, we don't have the budget. But it's not always about just budget or monetary incentives. So we'll give a bit of inspiration there. Change up the rewards and the system frequently. So it doesn't always have to be exactly the same incentive. It's nice to every time do something else, or do a different, have a different focus, and try to make it a positive experience. Yeah. So, what are some of the short-term incentives? We also speak about recognition and recognize and reward. So you can use like leaderboards, badges in the newsletter, for example, a personal recognition note from a CEO. I mean, those are kind of small things that you can do. I mean, if you do a good job and your manager or somebody puts you in the spotlight on something that you have done in a fantastic way, it's always nice to get that kind of recognition, and it does not cost anything. Custom-made creativity depends on the assets or what you have available, but if you can personalize a little bit the message, or a flyer or a design, it's also nice to have, or a poster, the traditional star of the week, for example, and then the picture is up in the back of house. I mean, it's a bit of a joke, but I think that can also still work. Perhaps a VIP experience. You see here a designated car space, or skipping the line. I mean, I think it's all the big message is about try to think outside of the box, like what does not cost us any money, but can really motivate also the people, and how can we reward those people. So that's a bit short term. Branded goods. Who doesn't like to receive a branded water bottle, or something that they can use, or a power bank, or anything else that you have, for example, of goods in stock? So you can, for example, work with that, but also gift cards can work. I think we did a competition a while ago with some gift cards also involved, and that also works. Or memberships, museums. I mean, those are all small and short-term incentives. Those, of course, they have a bit of a budget in mind, but there can be much more things than just an extra money on the paycheck. Charity, which I think is very popular as well, and very important, where people don't feel always a materialistic or monetary need, but they feel like, I would like to donate, let's say, a tree or something, or a day of volunteering, like you see it here, or a community day. I think this is really something, I see it myself as well, like when my coffee machine, for example, you can save points with the coffee pads that you buy. And there's also a charity component, and when you have X amount of points, that I can just give a donation to a charity. Team gifts can also work, like team dinners, plans at the office, do something special to juice up the back of house, or something like that. So that's really a team effort. So that's all short term. When we think about longer term incentives, a raffle, a drawing. If you do, for example, if you have a completion rate, you compete in a competition where you can draw names for maybe a nicer reward, a bigger prize. So that can be on the long run. Industry certification, which I think can be very important while people build up their career. For example, yeah, it says here credentials on the resume, LinkedIn profile. I mean, it's all very important to have those kind of, yeah, to build up your career, I would say, and to build up your, how do you say that, your backpack of skills, and anything that you can also show, I think can have a great added value to your profile. Gamified points program or paid time off. Not to underestimate how many people would enjoy an extra day off these days. So it can be a nice long-term reward. Evaluation, promotion, but there we talk more um, towards, let's say, in terms of promotion, people growing in their position. For example, in a retail environment where you can be an assistant store manager and there's X amount of trainings that you need to complete in order to be eligible for, let's say, the store manager program or something like that. So that's also an incentive that you can give. External trainings provide reimbursement. So, for example, of course, we provide training, but also a reward can be that you can earn a budget to follow a longer training or an external training, for example. So those are all a couple of examples of what you could potentially do with incentives. Some are pure creative without budget. The others involve minimum budget. Others, of course, have a bit of a higher budget. So I think it all comes down to being creative and looking at what you would like to achieve and what kind of reward you would like to put oppose um, the incentive. So MobieTrain on our side, a couple of things that you can use in our platform. So first of all, we have, of course, the experience points that you can gather in your profile. Now, of course, we have a longer conversation on how exactly the experience points work. But of course, if you have fast answers or 3 correct answers after a row, 10%, 10 quick answers after a row, of course, you get more and more experience points. And so this is also part of the gamification in the application, but you can use those experience points also to incentivize. The badges, as you can see in the print screen, motivational factor, but you can also use this to incentivize, to use it as a metric to say people that have 3 badges on this specific topic can win a prize or will get recognized. Of course, the dashboard, and this is where we really more look into the completion rates and the scoring. I think I discussed yesterday with one of our clients to organize an incentive based on, let's say, completion rate of X amount of tracks, and then look at top 30, top 20, and top 10 in terms of the average scoring of those learning tracks. So the dashboard is, of course, the insight is a big source of information to look at when organizing an incentive. Yeah. And then also the coaching tool can be also part of a reward. So from MobieTrain side, let's say this is quite a new feature, and for the people that have been in our live feature flash last time have seen maybe already something about the coaching tool, but this could also be something useful to use when people are doing really fantastic, that we can use the coaching tool for those people as well. Yeah. So quickly to summarize, I hope I'm still within my time frame. So use incentives on the right trainings that are interesting for both the employees and your organization. Use creativity to put regularly changing incentives that your employees want and can achieve. And so that creativity, I think, is really important. It's not only about budget. As the next point says, incentives come in all price categories, even for free. And I think sometimes recognition is even more important than getting a paid incentive. And create a mix of the short terms and long term incentives and communicate them clearly. I think the framework needs to be, and the mechanics of an incentive needs to be hyper clear to the user, so there can be no misunderstanding. On our side in MobieTrain, try to use the experience points, badges, the dashboard, and our coaching tool to reach that. Yes. And then I would like to hand over the floor to Joyce, Group Talent Development Manager at Azadea, and she will explain a little bit more on how they use incentives at their organization.
Thank you, Sven. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Sarah, for having us as well. And we are very happy, actually, and excited to share our experience with the other clients. So, first, allow me to introduce myself. So, I'm Joyce Haïi, the Group Talent Development Manager at Azadea. Azadea Group is a leading retail company in the Middle East. We are actually present more than 40 years of experience we have in the retail industry. We are present in more than 10 markets. We're talking about North Africa and the Middle East with 50 plus portfolio brands. I think you can recognize most of them from Massimo Dutti, Zara, Bershka, all Inditex brands, and so on. And we have in the group more than 10,000 employees. So our journey with MobieTrain started 5 years ago, where we introduced and we added, if you want, the learning and development, the micro learning with a platform that we decided to call CX Crush. So this is mainly the micro learning experience that we are offering to our people. Since then, we're talking about around 6,000 employees between managers and frontliners. The main idea is to have the experience of learning accessible to our people who are across the group and serving the customer. So this was the main objective. And then since then, we are constantly evolving with MobieTrain also, whether from the content, the approach, the platform, look and feel, and so on. Before we elaborate more, I'm going to follow actually Sven the same way with giving more examples in terms of what are the incentives that we give to our people, focusing definitely on the creative part where more than the monetary part, of course. But before we elaborate on the incentive scheme and different approach we have to with our people, it is important to highlight the fact the strategy that we adopt in terms of learning and development, from embedding a culture of learning within Azadea to creating customized and sustainable learning experiences. And why am I focusing on this? Because actually, if we are talking about targeting and customized experience, this goes also to the micro learning part, where also in CX Crush, we tended to be more targeted in terms of branches sometimes, and more focused learning. So we believe also in blended learning. That's why we have the classroom or virtual classes with the micro learning, where CX Crush plays a major role. So first of all, in order to incentivize our people, it is very important to create the what's in it for them. What is the objective of having them go and do the tracks and the learning moments in CX Crush? So the first part will be focusing on the communication, how to communicate properly the different learning moments, the launch of new tracks through different channels. I think we are lucky to have an Azadean app where people, everyone is having access to it, and where we can send broadcasts, short videos, did you knows, or any message that we want to send to all our people. Here's Ben, if I can ask you or Sarah to go. I'm going to show you some of the poster. We try here to be very creative. This was the launch of Skillflix, for example, and this was shared through email. This is a did you know, where we share what we have new, or what does the CX Crush in specific platform has. So this is a did you know. Also, whenever we are to launch a new track, let's say the fast track, as you can see, so the what, the why, and the when. So in order for us to engage people and to make sure that they are part of the experience, we need to make sure that the communication is done properly, and we need to highlight the what's in it for them. So here, when we move from the communication part, we make sure to create the environment. As you can see, I'm walking you through an infrastructure that we try to build in order for us to reach the incentive part. So some of the incentive we have done previously is we have rewarded. This time it was monetary back then when we had gurus. Actually, we created in the countries. This is part of making sure that everyone is engaged. We created CX Crush ambassadors. These are from the gurus mainly. They were responsible of educating our people on the platform, sharing new updates. We started with $100, and also we gave them um, a message from our CHRO as part of encouraging them. Also, as you can see, we have on monthly basis, we share the CX Crash gurus. These are from Massimo Dutti, for example. So this is something that we share with everyone on the platform, because you know the Azadea platform, it is accessible to everyone. So this is part of a non-monetary incentive also that is done on monthly basis, as you can see in the poster. Also, it is important to highlight that we don't build on monetary, because from one side we are numerous. So it's not logical to have every time money as incentive. So we try to be very creative. What we do, and this is working really well also, we create challenges between stores, participants within the store, or also from different branches from the same brand. And here, if you can go to the other two slides, you can see here one of our stores where they have challenge of who will be first in ending this learning track. Here we're talking about the fast track experience, CC1, CC2, it has different names. So people can share what they learned for this track, and the first one to end it will have also we praise people in public, and we try also to give them gifts. Part of the gift can be a half day off, let's say. We have the half day paid off. We have also prizes coming from what you can see. You were not able to hear me before?
I heard you all the time, Joyce. I'm not sure about
Okay.
the others.
I think Marie-Hélène, she has an issue with the... No, you can hear me now, right? So this is an example of a dashboard in one of our stores in Lebanon, Oisho, where people who, let's say, yellow. So I will highlight whenever I'm done. I will color the window until I reach the last part. This is something really exciting, encouraging for our people as well. Part of the prizes can be um, makeup kit. You know, this depending on the local budget. We may have very low budget, or we may build also on our brands. Let's say in the countries we have Pole or Italy for as part of Azadea. What we can do is we can give them lunch for two, you know, meal for two. So this is something that also we share. Also Virgin with us in the Middle East. This is we can also grant some gifts from Virgin as well. So this is part of the incentive that we share. Also, it is important not to have a short term. We want to make sure that we have long relationship in the micro learning world also between us and our people. So we make sure that the communication is always consistent, and consistency is key in terms of making sure that our people not only going in, registering in the platform, but making sure that they are always active. So we have a consistent communication on monthly basis. Before, let me share with you, we have also CX Crush Champion. As you can see, we created a standardized certificate where we give it to our champion. I will tell you also where we can share this. So we have the name of the employee, name of the shop. And then we share also for consistency reasons. We have also dashboard of engagement. We ensure that everyone is following up with their respective employees. Lately, we have launched monthly learning booster on CX Crush. This is where people will be engaged in their countries to do one specific track. What is the reason behind it? We want to make sure that our active users are increased in terms of percentage. And as you can see, so for the each month, for November, December, we clarify, or we make sure to show what is the name and the title of the learning moment they have to do. And what we do in parallel, we share with them on monthly basis, or on actually on weekly basis, the dashboard where they had reached, at Azadea. And this is something I believe is very important to make sure that learning is reaching out everyone. We take learning very seriously, and it is not a nice to have knowledge. It is reflected through our KPIs. As you know, each company, we have a learning KPIs. If we can go back to the other slide, please. TD, we have a TD, or talent development yearly KPIs. One of the digital part will be, beside the training hours, we have learning leadership program, we have e-learning, and we have also CX Crush. It is part of our yearly KPI. As you can see, this is a newsletter shared in with our colleagues in UAE, where they encourage everyone on monthly basis to complete the road. It means our yearly performance program with this learning objective, and they can click on it and it will take them to the site directly. So this is also part of encouraging people, because we cannot expect to incentivize and to give them reward if it is not part of a holistic, if you want, approach in terms of learning to our people. Also, with our people, our manager, we have a competency that is called developing and motivating others, where we share the different KPIs if they are reached or no, and people are evaluated accordingly. So this will increase the seriousness, if you want, and the engagement level of our people within the stores. So finally, to sum up, it is essential to mention that before we incentivize people, it is important, as we mentioned at the beginning, it is core also to keep people engaged in the learning program and process. But we have to create a learning culture. We have to set the right objective, what's in it for them. People need to understand, why am I going to learn this? They are adults, they know, they need to understand the importance of the learning. We need to communicate it right as well, through creative posters. Creative communication is key here. We need to set challenges, competitions, dashboards, certificates, which is part of the incentive, of course. And we need to make sure that we are consistent, and that it is part of our yearly learning KPIs. So this will make it more valid, it will give it more value, if you want. So this is it from our side. I hope we had shared some insightful examples for our colleagues, your client as well. Thank you so much. If you have any question, please feel free to ask. We are ready to respond. We have enough experience already, whether with the MobieTrain in specific, or the word of incentives in general, that is non-monetary. So we don't have the excuse of we don't have a budget. So we can be creative in this area.
Yes. Thank you so much, Joyce, for your case, and also Sven for the great explanation and the inspiration from both of you. I think for the questions, we're now going for the networking table, so you can interact with each other and also with Joyce and Sven. So you can ask your questions directly there. So what is going to happen now? I'm going to end this session, and you will all be brought back to the starting lounge where you entered AirMeet. And there will be different networking tables. You all got in your messages bar at the top right the number of your networking table. Sven and Joyce, please also join networking table 1. And me and Marie-Helene, we will join networking table 2. So join the networking tables that has been assigned to you. And we're looking forward to seeing you there and answering your questions.